Alright, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Should be good. There we go. So, yeah, welcome everybody to part 34 of Trails from Zero. I'm not gonna ramble too much. We're just gonna get right into it because today is a very important day. I have the, well, high chance, potentially, of finishing this game tonight, which, I'm super down for. But we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I mentioned it on the last session. So this part, I'm probably going to stop the stream when it's over. But before continuing on to the main story and whatnot, I figured since I have to turn those books in for the Zamorian Stone, we should probably get to reading these. So yeah, I'm gonna need a lot. Gotta take some drinking breaks in between. But yeah, I'm gonna read through the novel here, as well as catch up on the Crossbell Times just to see if they mentioned anything. I believe we read second one. We read the third one. I believe so. Let me see. Yeah, we did read the third one as well. Trying to see if we read this one. I think we did. There's medical technology. There has been a surprise influx of tourists lately. Requested full medical checkups when it is doubtful they needed one. There's a wonder if they came just for fun. Lord. Okay, but we'll read these last four. I might not have read the fourth one, but that's always like the tough part is that, I'm reading these late. I should have been doing this, as it happened. So I'll try to be better about that in Azure. If they come back, I'm not sure. I'll try to be better about that. So, part 5, back at festival. Final day of the anniversary festival. Review the highlights of the festival, starting from the first day. Sales of performance was unforgettable, kind of experience one simply cannot forget, even after just one viewing. Concerning rumors that people in the show business have come from foreign countries to negotiate with Arkansas, keep informed of any future developments. Day 2, heated battle downtown. For some reason, delinquents in the downtown district and the Bracers, joined by the police force's special support section, held a kind of battle race. Two-person teams ran around downtown and clashed violently at exciting points, capturing the attention of many. And would you believe the winner was a special support section? Putting aside the noise complaints from other citizens, seeing joy on onlookers and participants' faces made all this worthwhile, right? Day 3, International Symposium. Symposium took place at the reception hall in City Hall. Many opinions were heard on topics of Crossbell's present and future, including the need to strengthen trade further, and the reformation of state laws. Oh my lord. The freaking okay. At least for that photo, it's worth it. Just a Mishi in a car. I can't even. Customer Annual Parade was elevated this year. Michelin's popular mascot character Mishi even made an appearance. Excitement was through the roof. And now the final day. Today is the final day of the festival. You will have particular end of festival plans just for today. Spend the night at Michelin. Maybe you'll pass the time solemnly during Mass at the Crossbell Cathedral. Or perhaps you'll even attend the closing ceremony at City Hall. Annual Anniversary Festival is something citizens and tourists alike should experience without any regrets. I'm just double checking if anybody was in chat yet. Michelin Resort. Famous as a tourism destination, began 2 years ago as a theme park project funded by the IPC. Mishi the mascot is becoming wildly. It appears that every year, the number of people visiting Michelin on the final day increases. Ferry service to Michelin is free, courtesy of the IPC. Good chance to visit for yourself. Alright, 3 more before the novel. International Bank of Crossbell revealed the interim financial report, its forecast for the rest of the fiscal year. After 6 months, the IBC has already reached its performance target for the year, making it the richest organization on the continent in total asset value for 11 years running. We interviewed director Wait, was it Maribel? That's where they can't go backwards. Maribel, she told us that the IBC will be turning its attention toward resort management, conducting orbital network research over the next few years. Following the announcement, stocks became more turbulent. I'm worried about future business developments, said a local investor. Stock prices are all still shifting. Couldn't take my eyes off of them in the last few days, said a major securities trader. Inquiries from foreign businesses are flooding in, and it seems this will continue for a while. Politics? Budget deliberations draw near. The Diet will soon hold a session to deliberate on financial allocations in Crossbell. The focus this fiscal year will be on funding for public projects associated with the 5th stage of the Urban Development Plan. This also concerns the construction of the new unnamed City Hall building, which was previously delayed. As it ties into the quality of public services, this session cannot be ignored by the citizens. How will it unfold? A disturbance at Michelin. Reports say multiple men went wild on the streets of Michelin Resort on the final day of the anniversary festival. Apparently some visitors suffered minor injuries after being chased by several large dogs. Police stated that it's under investigation, but it's already been 1 week since the incident without any updates. Seek respite, at Imperial Capital's hotels. The operator of many top hotels has recently opened an exclusive nightclub in an affluent district of the Imperial Capital, New Blanc. We would love for all of you to come and visit, said a representative of Crimson & Co. Behind the project. It is a hot call for Crossbell investors. Hey, what's up, Rondrix? Oh, I live. I don't even. Yeah, just as a heads up, because I mentioned that yesterday, I'm just reading the Crossbell Times and the novel before we get started on the main story progress. So I'll probably stop the stream when I finish reading, just to, like, you know, keep them separate. If people want to skip all the reading portions, they can. So, just trying to be a little bit considerate since these all go up on YouTube afterwards. But for now, feel free to lurk or chill or do what you gotta do, man. But I'm trying not to make this very long, so I'm trying to keep it brief. I might not read chat as much for this. Where was I? Oh, Crossbell State Tourism Guide incoming. This very new service will soon publish a tourism guide detailing many famous sites and locations throughout Crossbell that thoroughly convey our local charms. When will it be published? That will be revealed in a future issue. Oh, that was the last one. Okay. Number 7, featured story, Budget Committee and Mayoral Election. Or elections. Imperial faction, Republican faction, and Mayor. Even after the Diet's initial session regarding budget allocations was postponed, the current session already threatens to become a drawn-out affair. Today in the Assembly, Speaker Hartman, leader of the Imperial faction, debated intensely with his rivals. Speaker Hartman heading into City Hall. The Republican faction, the hall quickly turned into, Oh, that was the... Okay. That was a continuation of the other sentence. The hall quickly turned into a whirlwind of dirty jeers. Mayor McDowell struggled to keep order. In the end, only a meager 3 paragraphs of legislation were approved about the upcoming mayoral election. Mayor McDowell's term will end in 4 months' time. That means the next mayoral election is approaching. Yesterday, McDowell, who previously declared he would retire after the current term, made another announcement. I can't leave the government in its current state. Speaker Hartman is rumored to have plans to run for the office. After having already secured his next term as Speaker, if elected, a politician from his Imperial faction will likely take the seat as Speaker. Representative Campbell of the Republican faction is wary of this, and he's using his connections to try to establish a third-party candidate. How will it turn out? We asked a businessman about the upcoming election. It was none other than Chairman Moores of the Business Owners Association. Response below. The election will focus on how trustworthy candidates are. Citizens are unhappy about the political chaos. Will want to lend their support to a candidate who can both reform the government and improve the state. Economy is booming. Due to a strong anniversary festival, businesses in the city benefited royally. With the news of the IBC's interim report, signs suggest that those affiliated with the IBC's ventures will see even more growth. Construction-related companies are playing it more safe due to the budget committee's status, but it seems that the investors are interested after seeing next year's economic forecast. After monsters appear, we have received reports that never before seen monsters have been spotted on highways around Crossbell. Citizens and tourists walking the roads have already suffered injuries. Racer Guild is imploring people to exercise caution. Crossbell's Gourmet Experience. Morg's Bakery on West Street is known for its freshly baked bread. This store even offers a new special bread every month. With my mouth stuffed, I can only utter superb. Mr. Oscar, only 18 years old, bakes these specialties. Why not go check out this young prodigious patisserie's bread? I'd be like, why not? Does it cost a lot though? I'd be ghetto as hell. Hey, what's up, Zigotan? I'm continuing in a bit, but right now I'm just well, about to start reading like in-game novel. There's only one. Well, granted, I could go to the library, but I just want to read these because afterwards I gotta turn them in for a good upgrade. About how you do. Let me see. And this is the final volume, or issue, rather. Yeah, did go to 8. Society raid on Heyu Trading Company. Gunshots heard late last night. Heyu Trading, Limited, a company located in the city's harbor district, was raided suddenly late last night. Anxiety spreading among residents living near the scene. Based on the appearance of the damage, it can be inferred that the heavy weaponry was used in the raid. Also, police investigation is underway. What is Heyu Trading Limited? Heyu is a trading company headquartered in the eastern quarter of the Republic. 10 months ago, they established a branch here in the Harbor District, and it appears they conduct various commercial transactions under the audit of lawyers. Why were they raided? The question remains, why was a company such as this raided, let alone with heavy weapons? According to branch manager Cao Li, I don't have any idea about the reason for the raid. However, because I manage a trading company, we have many rivals. There's a possibility that among them, someone chose to express their unjustified resentment, he said. I'm terribly sorry to have caused this neighborhood such a great concern and trouble. He then bowed deeply. Good lord. I don't trust this man for a second. Tension remains. Even a day after the incident, a sense of tension hangs in the air. The truth of the incident should be unearthed by the police soon. Breaking story, Budget Committee conclusion. The Diet's prolonged budget session finally concluded this afternoon. Mayor McDowell and Speaker Harmon had an intense back and forth regarding the ideal municipal budget, but with a compromise the mayor proposed, an agreement was narrowly reached. The finalized budget will be released at a later date. Airport mysteriously closed. Since early this morning, Crossville Airport has been closed. Crossville police blockaded the area, explaining that they were performing an extraordinary inspection. With regular airport operation temporarily offline, chaos and confusion begins to spread. Mysterious disappearances. We've received a number of reports of missing persons in Crossville City. As it is unclear what is rumor and what is fact, we are conducting an independent investigation. We will follow up in a future issue with our findings. Alright. Look out for that. Beat this game before Friday. Zigoten, dude, I'm on the final chapter. Like, I'm trying to finish this today, my dude. So yes, obviously the whole point was to finish it before Xenoblade, which, by the way, I mentioned that before on stream. I will not be playing Xenoblade Chronicles Day 1. Long story short, because I'm importing Collector's Edition from the UK. I did make like a plan B to not wait as long for like, you know, forwarding and shipping from that far away. It's probably going to take a while. I am renting a copy from Gamefly, which should be here. But the way that works is that that company has to get their shipments first to then send them out to people who like have it on their queue list for renting games. So at most, I'll be 2 or 3 days late to the party. I'm not gonna, like, I'm gonna finish this game today, so I have, like, you know, time for other things. But reality is I will not be there day 1. As much as I would like to. It's the price I pay for wanting the European Collector's Edition and having to import that stuff. So just, you know, do not expect a Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition stream on Friday. It sucks, but that's how it be. Beat the new Shantae first. No. It's funny. I was doing anime with Shin Kadis and everyone, and Amona mentioned it in the group channel. I was like, yeah, I know it's coming out, but the thing is, I haven't played a Shantae game, period. If I were to do it, I'd probably do them in order, or like sporadically, like, you know, in a year. But no. I mean, you guys should already know by now, I don't really like going with like the latest version of a game and then going backwards. So yeah, I might mess with the series at some point, I just don't know when. But I definitely wouldn't start with like the latest one randomly when I haven't played the other ones. But I'll find other things to do. Honestly, I might not even stream for those 2 or 3 days, because I might want to start messing with video editing and trying to see what I can do now that I found an editing program that works on this laptop. So, we'll see. I'll let you guys know. But, it'd be like that. ESO2, which should. If it can run on this laptop. I feel like I got an excuse for everything, bro, but I'm like, shit, I don't mean to. I really want to play PSO2. It can probably run. The problem is, can it run in stream, right? That's my concern. Unless it's also coming out on PS4, but even then, I don't know if playing on PS4 is fine for PSO2. I don't know how that works with the console versions, control-wise. Unless, I don't even think the PS4 version has been, like, confirmed to come, like, the same day, right? Is it just PC and Xbox right now? Yeah, it comes out on PS4, I think. Damn. I'll have to see. PC might be rough with trying to stream a game like that. We'll see. As much as I want to play it, I might not be able to. Just because of my limitations. And the thing is, I was talking to Shen about making a custom PC as well, like a custom PC rig eventually, but he said that now is a bad time, obviously with the pandemic going on, but also because apparently there's like a new generation of like graphics card coming out, so he really recommends that I wait. So I don't know, I'm between a rock and a hard place, as they say. For now, no idea on PS4. Happen? Yeah, pretty much. We'll see. I'll still attempt to see how it can run on PC. No, we'll see what happens from there, but yeah, GG. GG on that. Crazy RTX audio tech. Noise cancellation. Yeah, I saw Max do a video on it, and before that, I know Soul told me about it, which is nuts. I'd mess with it, but the noise gate's usually fine for me right now on OBS. But at some point, like Max was saying in like the video he put out, it's amazing for fighting game players who are on arcade sticks, and that usually makes a lot of noise. Or hell, if I ever go back into a Smash Bros stream, that shit would be amazing for when I play that, because like the you gotta do so much flicking and like, you know, like control stick movement like second to second when you play Smash, that I'm just like, it's probably really good for that too. But in general, I probably won't mess with it, but it does seem pretty good. The reason I say I probably won't mess with it is because if I get used to using it every single time, it might be tough to use if my sister is like, you know, tuning into like a stream as well. Which, by the way, I'm doing this update here in between the reading sessions, so apologies for anybody who just wants to, you know, keep up with the reading. This is the last thing I'll say too. Apparently my sister does want to tune in to me playing Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, so that's like another example where it's like, I'm not sure how it works if, like, you know, there's like 2 people talking at the same time, especially if one's like further away from the microphone. It might be a little weird with that. Let's see. Hammering on the desk and nothing picked up. His voice is still clean. Yeah. No, that's the thing. Like, I saw Max's video. He did like a really good example where he was like clapping and it just sounded like nothing, and I'm like, what is going on? Right? Oh my god, this shit's insane. I might mess with it at some point though. It definitely has its uses. But granted, that is even if it could work on this laptop. I don't know. I'd have to mess with it at some point. But yeah. I'll refrain from looking at chat for a bit because I'm just gonna start reading this novel. Because there's like, what, 14? Yeah, there's like 14 chapters. So, bear with me, y'all. I just want to see how this turns out, because afterwards I need to turn these in for an item. Which I don't know if it's like, it might be like the Sky Games, where like if you turn in like all the books for collecting them and going out of your way, you can make at least one of the best weapons in the game. So, it is worth turning these in, but I don't know if I'll be able to read them later. Might be in the library, though. But I don't want to assume, so I'll just do it now. Otherwise, when will I ever read them, you know? Alright, so starting off. Romaferia, the Principality of the Beautiful North, was famous for its advanced medical care, hospitals equipped with the latest technology, attracted the best of the best doctors, and medical technology was developed by the best of the best manufacturers. However, this nation of medical excellence had a shady side. In an area downtown, orbital research was slow, the streets lacked any hospitals the Principality was publicly known for. On the other hand, this suspicious area didn't lack the chill of the unpleasant north. There stood one clinic. At a glance, the 40-year-old building revealed its age. Deteriorated, diminished hopes for an ordinary physician. Sorry, I don't know why that's like hard for me to say right now. Inside stood the silhouettes of two people. 1 million Mira, shouted the older man hysterically as he noticed more zeros on his bill than expected. Across from him sat a man in his mid-30s, sporting an unkempt beard that complemented his laziness. You'd recognize this massive muscular figure as a doctor without his filthy white coat. Ah, my bad. Exceptional mistake, the doctor answered, in his low voice, and added another zero to the sum. Yo, what the hell? Before his eyes, the price jumped tenfold to what it was before. To which the old man's face shot from impatiently pale to furious red. Dirty swindler! These treatment costs are ridiculous! I refuse to pay this! And indeed, it was far beyond what any doctor established, and Romaferia was legally allowed to charge. Watching the furious old man, the doctor couldn't help but laugh. You yourself seem to have earned quite a pretty penny as well. Makes you wonder whether it's all clean. The patient was a corrupt politician, his infamy bolstered by unending rumors of bribery and tax evasion. On this particular day, he had taken 3 bullets before he was brought here. The public learned of this. His life as a politician would land in a kind of trouble, but this doctor extracted the bullets in secrecy. In short, he had to pay hush money on top of surgery costs. GG. Figured it would be a decent price of one's life. For one's life, he threatened, causing the old man to lose his cool. He thrust his concealed orbital gun into the doctor's back. The doctor continued smiling. Well, actually, there's still 1 bullet within you. If you were to kill me, I wouldn't be able to remove it for you. Pointed his finger at the old man's stomach. Felt something hard under his skin where he didn't have any surgery scar. Doctor intentionally left the last bullet untouched. Good lord. Old man felt a dull pain and lowered his gun. So are we going to pay now? And with that, the doctor continued the surgery. Flames of anger left the old man's eyes. All that remains was fear. The doctor's name, Glenn, despite being an exceptionally talented doctor, he was unaffiliated with any of the hospitals in the Principality. He was considered a back-alley doctor, treating everyone from politicians to illegal immigrants to murderers, who demanded unreasonable prices in return. A couple days later, in his worn-down chair, he gazed absently at the suitcase containing 10 million Mira. He looked outside and saw the rain dripping down the window. Such large raindrops were uncommon in the north of Romaferia. No client would come in during this weather, when the sound of rainfall suddenly became louder. But pardon me, Glenn spun around as he heard the voice. There was a nurse standing in the hallway of his dilapidated clinic. Did we miss anything? Okay, no, didn't miss anything, chat. I'm just gonna keep going. Is there a doctor by the name of Glenn here? Asked the nurse in a commanding voice. Standing outside the clinic, she must have been in her early 20s. She had a youthful beauty to her. Oh, also, I was gonna say, before I keep going, so if anybody's on Twitter, I'll do like a follow-up like tweet or like quote retweet the post where I said like I was going live, to let anybody know when I'm starting like the next session, because I'm gonna stop the stream for the reading session and then start it up again for when I'm just gonna do main story progress. So if anybody does not want to, you know, stick around for this, don't worry. If you're on Twitter, I'll let you know when we're just doing main story progress again, if anybody's curious about that. Anyway, this shouldn't take too long. Is there a doctor by the name of Glenn here? Asked the nurse in a commanding voice. Standing outside the clinic, she must have been in her early 20s. She had a youthful beauty to her. Yeah, that would be me. Glenn invited her in, she bowed, folded her umbrella, and closed the door behind her. The umbrella hadn't served well in the heavy rain. Raindrops trickled down from her bangs, over her cheek onto the fabric of her white uniform, making it look somewhat heavier. Glenn carelessly tossed the mirror case in a corner and threw a clean white towel from a shelf at the nurse. She thanked him and quickly dried her wet hair. Her movements had a certain charm to them. Glenn was instantly captivated by her youthful face. "Haven't we met before?" was one of the many pickup lines that he didn't dare utter. He coughed, and after regaining his composure, he offered her a seat. "So, what do you want from me?" "My name is Sherry. I work as a nurse at Myria General Hospital. Just now, a boy with an incurable disease was hospitalized. I request that you operate on him." Silence filled his clinic. Her request remained unanswered, and Sherry tilted her head. It started as a murmur and exploded into a howling, maniacal laughter. Glenn knew about Ameria, a big hospital, backed by the head of state, the prince. Head of state, the prince. Sorry, my bad. They say it brought together the best doctors from far and wide and sported the latest facilities. The last part of like the reading is like the hardest part because like the webcam is like right underneath where like the TV is, so it really messes with my perception there. Patients deemed incurable were outsourced to protect the hospital's prestige. For a back alley doctor like Glenn who keeps his clients' secrets safe, this wasn't an unusual request. The sheer shame of hospital doctors having to resort to a displaced doctor like himself always made him roar nonetheless. "And did the distinguished gentleman mention how much is in it for me?" Glenn's laugh subsided. He immediately concerned himself with negotiating, as he figured he would make the best of it. Sherry sternly stared back. Her firm voice interrupted him. "There appears to be a misunderstanding. This is my own request." "Wait, what?" Glenn was suddenly bewildered, averting her eyes. Sherry wedged in the rest of her request. "The boy suffers from crystallization." Interesting. Crystallization. Glenn's eyes widened at the name. He knew of it. He now understood exactly why she was there. It meant a lot to Glenn, as it was not an exaggeration to say that it was the reason he was a back alley doctor. "Take me to the patient. I'll decide what must be done after a medical examination," he asserted. She nodded repeatedly in agreement. Actually, let me take some water. Because I'm like, Lord. I can already feel it. Shit's brutal. I'll even streaming. 28, damn. Probably gonna take at least a half an hour. But I'll try to keep up the pace. The rain let up before they realized, draping them in humid air. "It's quite the hospital, isn't it? The Myria General Hospital was built only last year. Marvelous structure, pristine and dignified. Clearly a project the prince could be proud of." "Dr. Glenn, this way." Sherry welcomed to the awestruck Glenn further inside. As a doctor not employed by the hospital, Glenn examining a patient was taboo. He had hoped to stand out a little as little as possible, but in this spotless ward and with its intensely white interior, Glenn's dirty appearance stuck out like a sore thumb. Stares from patients and staff alike bore down on him. Sherry and Glenn proceeded to the pediatric ward, room number 303. Sherry knocked thrice, then opened the door to meet Hugo, an innocent-looking boy around 14 years of age. Good lord. "Sherry, where did you go?" Hugo knew the apologizing Sherry well. Brazen would perfectly describe the boy. Sherry introduced Glenn, and the boy greeted him with a friendly, "Nice to meet you." Glenn didn't answer and instead swept his eyes around the room. He spotted a violin leaning against a wall. Remembered what Sherry had told him along the way. Hugo had won a great number of awards as a violin prodigy. Last month, magazines even ran features on him. Just when his fame was reaching its peak, he was struck with crystallization. Glenn made a sour face. He saw the boy wore thick gloves on both hands. Gloves? Patients with the disease? That's sort of just like gloves again. Patients with disease often wear them to conceal symptoms. "I'll begin a medical examination at once," Glenn announced. and immediately approached and grabbed his right wrist forcefully. "What are you doing?" Hugo fiercely requested, but couldn't break free. Sherry watched the reckless examination. Worried, Glenn forcibly removed the glove. Hugo was flustered, but not even adults could have escaped Glenn's brawny arm. Glenn grasped upon seeing the gleam, where one should have seen a boy's tender hand. Instead, there gleamed a cold, crystalline shape, sparkling like septium, emerald green like Esmela's. This was crystallization indeed. On closer inspection, the crystal resembled a carving of a human hand, like an exquisite work of art, but a sculptor talented and experienced enough to craft something that felt so alive had yet to be born. It's because this dazzling Smells crystal really was once Hugo's hand. The effects manifest quickly, crystallizing the body from the tips of one's fingers or toes. Whatever's crystallized doesn't hurt, but remains frozen in place. Yikes. Continues to spread, and after about a month, it will reach the heart and turn fatal. Disease is crystallization. Its cause is unknown. Only amputating the crystallized parts can save the victim from a cruel death. Oh shoot. Accidentally pressed back there really quick. That is 4, right? Okay, I just pressed 1 too many. Hugo could survive, but at the bleak cost for an aspiring violinist like himself. Glenn stood transfixed, gaping at the hand. Memories flooded through him like electric jolts. When he was still a respectable doctor, he had tried to take on the crystallization disease, but all it brought him was, "Let go of me, big idiot!" The boy's scream brought Glenn back to his senses, reeling back and forth. Hugo had finally wrenched himself free of the mighty arm. He then launched a verbal assault on Glenn, frustrated that this stranger had seen the state of his hand. His words didn't reach the doctor. Damn it, what did he do that for? Finally, Sherry comforted the now crying boy. It took a while to settle him down, but eventually he crawled back into his bed, pouting. Sherry left the boy to talk outside. Never say anything. What's up, Martha? Hello? Not in good condition of mood lately? Nothing... Everything well? Oh, no worries, Bronco. Shit happens, man. Life be like that. Take as much time as you need, you know. Don't feel like you have to, you know, tune in. But, oh, what's up, Soul? But yeah, Bronco, if you're still there, hope you feel better. Hope things, you know, get well. I don't know the, you know, full situation, obviously, but regardless, hope you have a good one. Used to me, late breakfast for everyone. Well, you mean more so the brunch. It'd be like that. Lord. But doing alright, so I'm just doing a bit of a reading session before I turn these in. So this is gonna be a minute, but yeah. Then afterwards, I'll stop the stream and do another session really quick. Just you know, continuing the main progress. I want to break the reading session up because some people might want to skip this stuff. You know, I'd rather not be like, hey, the final 2 sessions probably, and then it's just skip through like an hour and 30, you know, and then finally get to the part that you want to see, you know. For a while, the two of them stood and didn't exchange any words. In the end, it was Glenn who broke the silence. Brad's crystallization is at an early stage. If he's operated on immediately, his life will be saved. Any surgeon at this hospital can do an amputation, he paused. Oh, that was Glenn. I thought it was Sherry. There's anyone else. What do you want from me? Glenn's voice revealed that his spirit from earlier had evaporated. Hugo has more than enough talent to realize his dream of becoming a professional violinist. That very dream defines his life, Dr. Glenn. I want you to cure his crystallization without sacrificing his hands. I want you to make the impossible possible, Sherry pleaded. Doctors aren't gods. Sherry felt abandoned and discouraged. She could not find any more words to convince Glenn. In turn, he said nothing more. Neither of them would end the silence. Can I see what else in this? Okay, no. I'll keep going. Chapter 5, Rufus. That man cannot do it. Now stood a man in the quiet corridor of the hospital. He was a slender, tall man, clad with a white coat. He hid a piercing gaze behind silver-rimmed glasses. Doctor, as a nurse at Amira's General Hospital. Sherry knew him well as one of the doctors. As for Glenn, it had been 10 years since they last saw each other. Rufus. Why are you here at this hospital, Glenn? Rufus scowled. Sherry didn't look surprised, suggesting she knew they were acquainted. She watched, dejected, as the tension rose in the air. Rufus looked at her and sighed. You know, you can't just bring this man off the streets to be your doctor. The hospital's reputation will be on the line. Sherry was well aware of the consequences, but her eyes did not falter. Why was the boy so important to Sherry? Glenn decided not to ask aloud. What do you mean by cannot? She asked, hoping to understand Rufus's words. Simple. That man abandoned his work. He ran away from being a doctor. No matter how skilled he may be, he's not going to cure the incurable crystallization disorder. Glenn gave a self-mocking laugh. Without saying anything more, he turned around and began to walk away. Glenn! Sherry followed him hastily. Rufus watched as they disappeared in a distant hall. He was disappointed. He muttered a and turned to room 303, where they visited the patient. He cleared his throat and knocked 3 times. Hugo, it's time for a regular checkup. From the Amiri General Hospital rooftop, Glenn gazed at the city streets lined with stores and houses. The view, marred with the advancement of orbital technology, didn't calm him. The mood fit the city's declining downtown. Sherry stood behind him, looking worried. Doctor, Rufus, how good is his work? Glenn asked in order to interrupt her. She could only reply to this question. Dr. Rufus was scattered when this hospital was founded. He has saved many lives over the course of his career. Also published a great number of research papers. There are also rumors that he's going to be hired as a professor at the young age of 34. Well, damn. He's an ordinary man doing good in his own way. In his own ordinary way, Glenn said, satisfied with his retort. Even that ordinary man wants to save the kid's life, Sherry refuted. However, he plans to amputate Hugo's hands. Oof. That's what must be done, for his life is otherwise over. Conversation had ended here in the corridor, but Sherry would not accept it. Dr. Glenn, 10 years ago you devised a surgical method to cure crystallization. That's why I want to bet on you. Hearing that caught Glenn by surprise. Glenn chanced upon the idea 10 years ago. A revolutionary technique, able to cure the disease without amputating crystallized parts. It really would make the impossible possible. Certainly, if it worked, Hugo would live on, his hopes intact. This not only reopened the scar in Glenn's soul. You know what that technique was You know that technique was a failure, right? Glenn finally said. Sherry cast her eyes downward in silence. She did know. Because of that, I lost her. Oh, sorry, that was Glenn talking. Glenn, recalling the incident, began to confess. 10 years ago, Glenn worked with Rufus at a hospital. Let's see if we miss anything. Okay, no. Glenn worked with Rufus at a hospital in Principality Gromith area. The two of them, lost at surgical talent, were promising names among young doctors. One day at a small theater, they saw a ballet, traditional dance celebrated in the Principality. Both men fell for a dancer on stage. Her name was Katarina Ford. The two of them continued to watch her perform, and, as if by fate, somehow became acquainted with this bright star. Of a girl, she had a very young sister, also became friendly with them. Eventually, Glenn and Katarina fell in love. Even Rufus, his friend and rival, wholeheartedly supported them. Oh, what's up, Lady Oblivion, I want to say? If I stop by as a work on Easter's Build? Yeah, absolutely. I'm just reading the novel right now before I turn it in, since I'm on the final chapter. But, yeah, appreciate it. Also, I'm looking forward to messing with that one, too. Although I still gotta play a few more of the East games to, like, properly play that one. I'll probably, like, you know, mess with it once I, check out the whole series. Because I don't want to go into that crossword being like, wait, who's this? You know? But yeah, it's a pleasure. I might not be looking at chat too much since I'm just, you know, reading through all this right now, but I'll look in between chapters. Where was I, though? Trying to remember. Let me see. Fair? We gotta play Open Flagana. To be honest. Okay. Well, I still gotta play 7 then. Because so far I've done 1, 2, Flagana. I did Origin and I did East 6, right? Like I did like all the classic East ones so far. But I was saving 7, 4, and 8 till after I finished the Trail series, and that's gonna take a while because I'm only on 0 right now, which I'm loving this localization. But yeah, then I still gotta play Azure and then all of Cold Steel for this year, potentially catch up before 4, but that's a big ask. So 7, 4, 8 will happen eventually because I love the E series, but it's just it's a matter of when. Bump and Arc Engine, good stuff. Geofront killed it with this. Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's been such a pleasure. I could have played, as my first experience with 0, I could have played the other translation that was, you know, there beforehand. You know, people are saying that it's like, it's totally playable. And I get that, but after seeing how many features they added to this and knowing that it was just around the corner, I gotta say the wait is absolutely worth it, especially with turbo mode and like all these like enhanced features. The message log is great too for someone like me who streams and you know, sometimes looking back and forth between chats or using the guide a little bit to help me through. I could miss some things along with the story, so that feature is fantastic as well, along with like the button mapping icons. God, I love it. It's so good. Let me see. Waited on them. It was so worth it. Yeah. I believe how happy I was when I got to playtest for them. I'd imagine, yeah. God, I'd love to do it someday too, but the thing is, like, I don't really have any experience with that stuff. And honestly, I stream too much to even be able to like find the time to do that stuff. So I'm just gonna be someone who appreciates the final products from afar, you know. Because not only that, I plan on like starting to learn video editing and stuff later in the year. Maybe like put out some video projects or start to learn, you know, how to do that stuff. So I definitely got my own things to like try to do. But again, that's why I appreciate, like, as someone who's like trying to find the time for all these little things that I'd want to personally do, I respect anyone working on projects like this because I know how much time they're giving up, you know? For free, too. I feel like I should be paying for this. I mentioned that last night. You know, it's just... I can only imagine how much work has to be done, you know? I can only imagine. Yeah, and the bump system actually in the East series, I actually like quite a bit. I kind of miss it, but I don't want to play East Origin. I was completely addicted all over again, so I want to see how, I believe they call it, the party system works in 7, 4, and 8. Looking forward to messing with that at some point. But, yeah, I'm just gonna keep reading for a little bit, at least finish up a chapter. See what else, though. Let's play something like Dawn of East. Isn't Dawn of East, like... Was that Super Nintendo or somewhere else? Is that like an unofficial East game? Because I know I've heard of it, but I don't know what the deal with that was. Maybe not like unofficial, that's probably the wrong word, but... Oh, East for PC Engine. One of 3 versions of East 4. Okay. Interesting. Good lord, that's kind of nuts. I'll probably mess with it in the future then, I don't know. That's the thing, I might check that stuff out, like, after I play, like, the modern ones, because now, after playing Origin and all the other ones, like, I'm pretty much in, like, modern territory for East, so I gotta do 7, 4, and 8, you know, the ones that mainly everybody plays at the moment. 2 versions back in the day, Dawn of East and Mask of the Sun. If I'm reading that right. Sorry, I'm also looking at my laptop, like I'm trying to like keep the laptop fan noise out of the mic. So I'm looking at a laptop from like a good 3 feet away on a minimized like window. So I have to kind of like lean out of the webcam shot. Then it got remade into one definitive version with Mary's Sosada. Okay. Got him covered with the East stuff. Yeah, that too. Soul's been with me with the East stuff along the way. So Soul would definitely tell me, like, you know, all the history with the series. And unfortunately, also, you know, why why we're not doing East 5, because there's no real great way to play it right now, so it's so awkward. They need to remake that. Like, I hope after East 9 their plans are to do, I mean, East 10 would be like nice, but like an East 5 remake, I'd be down for that, just to see what that game's all about. But yeah, either way. I'm gonna keep going, because otherwise, like, I'll never finish reading this. I'm doing a reading session first before I do like the main story progress in like a few minutes, so I just gotta get through the novel. I'll finish the chapter and then read chat afterwards, so bear with me for a few minutes. I'll just read chat in between a chapter. Let me see. However, their happy days are not lost all along. One day, Katarina came down with an incurable disease and was hospitalized at Glenn and Rufus's workplace. The name, the now too familiar crystallization, her feet, the life of a ballerina, were immobilized by beautiful as Mel's crystals up to her ankles. They're pretty, right? That was a bold-faced lie, typical of her bright personality. Glenn and Rufus, the doctors charged with her care, suffered. To save her life, there was no other way than to amputate the crystallized feet. It had to be done soon. But they refused to resort to such a drastic measure. Katarina's feet still burned with the passion of dancing, or for dancing. Doctors searched desperately for an alternative, any miraculous method to save both her life and her feet. They scoured the records of all known cases of crystallization known. They examined and re-examined her to try and find the real cause. One day, Glenn made a discovery. Patients with crystallization have a common symptom, a small tumor in the heart. The theory is that this growth nurtures a toxin that accumulates and advances crystallization. If the tumor could be surgically removed, the symptoms would subside, and the condition would slowly reverse. With this discovery, people got excited, but the two of them did not rejoice. The removal of a tumor inside the heart was an extremely dangerous operation. Even in this country, known for top-tier medical practices, it would be a very difficult surgery. If they failed, it would end in her death. But it could not be delayed. Crystallization was advancing. Time had come to decide. The only option is to remove crystallized parts. Choosing between life and ballet is foolish. Glenn agreed with Rufus's conclusion. Even if his love would lose her ballet, as long as she had her life, she could find a new passion. However, Katarina disagreed. Ballet's my life. Losing my feet is the same as losing my life. Good lord. If there is even a small chance that you can do it, I want to bet on it, she begged her beloved Glenn. As the operation neared day by day, Glenn grew conflicted. This was a choice between her life or death. He kept thinking, worrying, and agonizing. In the end, he decided to do as she asked. Rufus was fiercely opposed, but upon reading the look in Glenn's eyes, he knew what wasn't said. He'll do anything to save her. He realized Glenn could not be stopped. The day arrived. Glenn was to be the surgeon, while Katarina's sister watched with concern. She was transported to the operating room. I believe in you, Glenn, whispered Katarina. She, grasping Glenn's rugged hand, fell deeply asleep under the anesthesia. She never woke up. Glenn's story had been taken over by Rufus, who had joined them on the rooftop. Glenn abandoned the hospital. He ran away from Katarina's death and became something of a good-for-nothing back-alley doctor. Sherry looked at Glenn surprised. What do you want? Glenn didn't take his eyes off of the city. Rufus thought carefully about how to deliver his reply. The date for Hugo's operation has been decided. It is to be 1 week from today. Shit. Okay, we're almost halfway. Yeah, it's gonna be a minute. Let me see. Get to reading, young man. Yeah, okay, Dad. Let me see. What else? Interrupted. Oh no, you're fine, Lady Oblivion. It's just that, this is like a weird session, right? Where it's like I'm just doing the reading and then stopping the stream, and then it's like main story progress, full stop on the final chapter. So that's when I'd be like, you know, reading more. It's just that this is a weird case where like this might be a session that most people, if they watch like a past broadcaster on YouTube, they're probably gonna skip out anyway. You know what I mean? It's just like it's just reading. So it's just, I really appreciate it. I really do. It just came out a very weird one. But like I said, I you know, I'll check chat in between the the chapters. Oh, this is a very short one. Hearing the news from Rufus, Sherry objected. Oh wait, Dr. Rufus, it's too soon. Unfortunately, the symptoms of crystallization won't wait. We need to operate as soon as we can. Glenn, still gazing at the city, did not show any reaction. He silently listened. It was decided along with Hugo's consent. As a nurse, you aren't in a position to object. Sherry was bested by Rufus's cold statement. She had held her tongue. He was right. Hugo's 14-year-old body was smaller than most adults, so the time left until his heart would crystallize was also shorter. Operating soon would be a doctor's immediate conclusion. Even so, Sherry protested. Doctor, do you think nothing of Hugo losing his hands? Saving his life is my top priority. He won't be able to pursue any dream if he dies, Rufus replied without hesitation. In his conviction, Sherry could feel the pain of losing Katerina. Knowing this, she couldn't hide her sorrow. I will save the child. Oh, sorry, that was Rufus. I thought it was gonna be Sherry talking. Rufus declared to the large-framed doctor. He could see his back was still turned. You saved me the trouble of declining. Do your best, Dr. Rufus, Glenn said. Waving backwards, he left without exchanging a single glance with Rufus. Pathetic, muttered Rufus. He urged Sherry to return to work. He would let it slide this time that she had recently or secretly called in an unregistered doctor. Her shoulders sagged. She listened with her eyes fixed on the ground. She was lost in thought. Don't involve him, it'll only make it more difficult for you. She raised her head at those words, looked into Rufus's eyes. Sorry, I took a drink of water. Lord, can already feel it. I'm like, listen. This is a fucking endurance round for real. Oh boy. I'm gonna need like 3 bottles of water, probably. So I'll make it more difficult for you. I'm sorry, Dr. Rufus. There's one thing I forgot to tell Glenn. What? Without answering the question, Sherry left in a hurry. Rufus was now alone on the roof. The wind made his white coat flutter. He put a hand on his forehead and sighed. Dear me. What's it about to be? Also halfway. Chapter 8, Irritation. Glenn returned to the clinic downtown. He found it just as he left it. It looked messy to him now. Even the case containing a large sum of mirror just sat agape. The 40-year-old building looked wanting for better help. He didn't have the energy for it. Glenn, you're a respectable doctor. You should take better care of your belongings. Relaxing on his favorite worn-out chair. He remembered what Katerina told him again, and again when she was still alive. Being a ballerina, she was always conscious of how she looked. Katerina was awe-inspiring, beautiful, and bright. Glenn was attracted to her for she had what he lacked. It was probably true of Rufus, who would it have turned out if she had chose Rufus instead of him? Didn't miss anything. Okay, no, didn't miss anything in chat. I will say I appreciate anybody stopping by. Just like I said, you can still feel free to leave, like stuff in chat if you want. I'll just look at it in between. But yeah, after coming down with crystallization, she had 2 choices: a surgery that would have traded her feet for her life, or a gamble to save her feet while risking her survival. Such were her options. Glenn, to whom Katerina begged for the risky surgery, sympathized with her and attempted it. Rufus would have chosen to amputate to save her life against her wishes. If that had been done, she would still be alive, even without her feet. She might have found another passion instead of ballet. Thinking about what-ifs was useless, and Glenn knew it. In the 10 years after her death, there had not been a single day he didn't think about them. This was a constant regret he felt. Having returned from Emeria, Glenn's heart swayed like a stormy sea. Was it because he saw Hugo's crystallization? Maybe it was how the young man had dreams of his own he could no longer realize. Or perhaps witnessing such a similar situation distracted him from his life here in this back alley clinic. At any rate, he was irritated. He went to his desk and opened the second drawer. He dragged out an old massive file. It bore no title, but judging by its size, one could imagine it took many years to compile it. Glenn stared at it in silence, then suddenly threw it at a wall. It made a dull sound, then papers once bound were scattered across the floor. Doing this did not make him feel better. His heart was broken and battered. Doctor? He hadn't noticed until now. Someone said in the entranceway. It was the Amiri nurse, Sherry, who had come to visit again. She was surprised to see papers scattered all over his floor. It's about the operation. It was already settled, Glenn stated, glaring at Sherry. She was startled at the intense darkness in his eyes, but quickly composed herself. I'm here to tell you what I neglected to mention before. Something you neglected to mention? To Glenn's bewildered expression, she said firmly. Sherry's just my nickname? My full name is... Sherry... Or wait, Cheryl Ford, sorry. Cheryl Ford. I was that girl, the sister of your lover, Katarina, who lost her life to crystallization? Good lord, what a twist, though. I was not expecting that. That's a yikes. Chapter 9, Sherry. You're Katarina's sister. Sherry nodded. Glenn stood shocked, but was convinced by the lack of dishonesty in her eyes. Cheryl was the little girl, Katarina's sister. He had seen her many times when Katarina was hospitalized. She accompanied her on the fated day, up until she was taken to the operating room. Looking closer at Sherry, he noticed a resemblance. Her cold expression was familiar, and he failed to recognize her. He felt ashamed for how he had treated her close relation. Sherry broke the silence. About your cure for crystallization, which cost my sister her life. Why did she undergo such a risky surgery? Have you ever thought about it, Dr. Glenn? To be on stage as ballerina again? Glenn responded reflexively. Sorry. Sherry shook her head. It wasn't just that. The day after he discovered the idea, she told me she wanted to try it. I was against it. I had heard it was very risky. I told her that I wanted her to give up ballet, but she didn't hesitate in her reply. Sherry closed her eyes, hand on chest. She recalled her late sister's words. I want to do it, not destroy ballet. The illness is terrible. When I was told the only way to save me was to lose my feet. I was in despair. However, Glenn discovered a new surgical technique for it, and felt a warm light shining inside my heart. Maybe this is hope. If this method succeeds, it could spread and raise hope for other crystallization patients too. Parents, oh my god. My brain, sorry, it's the webcam like near the bottom of the TV screen makes it hard. Like the final line is always the hardest to read. However, I know this operation is still imperfect and comes with a high risk. That's why I want to be the first to try it. Whether it succeeds or fails, I'm sure that Glenn will learn something and be able to perfect it further. Soon we won't have to fear crystallization because my beloved Glenn will surely succeed. Glenn couldn't shake the feeling that Katarina now spoke through her sister. Sherry continued to mourn the death of my sister too. Sherry continued, I mourn the death of my sister too, and yet I can't help but recall how you and Dr. Rufus tried to save her. My respect I had for the two of you led me to pursue nursing, so please, Doctor, don't regret your choice. She then bowed deeply after a long moment of silence. She raised her head and quietly left the clinic. Glenn remained speechless, still in his chair. He stood out where Sherry had stood for what seemed like hours. Irritation had vanished as if by magic. He now heard what Katarina really thought 10 years ago. Sherry, Katarina's little sister, had left him with the parting words. Don't regret your choice. How would he have responded to them back then? The next morning, Glenn picked up the file contents scattered across his floor. In his eyes, the fire of determination had returned. Alright, chapter 10. We're getting there, people. We're getting there. Wait, what's chapter 9, right? Yeah, okay. Sorry. It actually really does fly by when you're just like reading them one after the next, you know? Seems pretty cool so far, though. I usually don't read, like, in-game novels or books, for the most part, but, I should really do this. I didn't really do it much in the Sky games, and I might need to, like, fix that at some point. Chapter 10, Hope. It was the evening 3 days before Hugo's amputation. After the date was decided, his doctor, Rufus, had been visiting his room each day to explain the procedure. You're listening, right, Hugo? Rufus asked nervously. Hugo was often absent-minded. The reason was clear. He had no hope for a future where, without his hands, he would never again play the violin. Sherry, who accompanied Rufus as his assistant, was getting fed up. I hate it, said Hugo, gazing at his thick gloves. Why did it have to happen to me? Sherry suffered in her own frustration. Cheer up, Hugo. Having watched her sister to the illness, she knew very well that her words were hollow. Dr. Rufus, however, stayed calm. I've seen many patients over the course of my career. Among them, there were some who didn't have hope, and some that didn't make it. For you, as long as you undergo the procedure, you will live on. Isn't that fortunate? He left no room to object. Hugo mashed his teeth, but resigned and calmed down. This is fine. I can't help but think of, this is fine memes. Rufus thought. As long as he survives, he will have limitless possibilities. He only needs to find a new passion. Katerina lost her life and wasn't able to do that. Look at you, baritone voice interrupted the door of the hospital room. Oh, the door of the hospital room was ajar, and there stood the back alley doctor, Glenn. Dr. Glenn, he had come. Sherry's heart was relieved. Glenn showed her a smile. Why are you here? From behind his silver glasses. Rufus's eyes glared at the man. Without answering, he merely stared back, as if to repel the question. Rufus frowned. To him, Glenn seemed worlds apart from the man he last saw on the hospital roof. Glenn looked at Hugo in the bed. A flash of fear washed over the boy's face as he recalled the doctor's previous disrespect. But today, the young man's apathy and depression quelled his fear. Your name was Hugo or something, right? Are you willing to risk dying? Everyone was startled at Glenn's abrupt statement. There's a procedure that can cure your crystallization while sparing your hands, but it comes with a high risk. It's not something you can just overcome through sheer determination. The risk is real, and the consequences could be fatal. You must be willing to accept that. Are you? Each word he uttered weighed on Hugo's 14-year-old mind. There was no mercy in Glenn's eyes. The word death weighed the most. Yeah, I was gonna say, kid's pretty young. That's, ooh, that's heavy. If there's anything. Hey, what's up, X? How you do? I'm just, reading, one of the novels, in-game before we start with the main story progress later today. We're almost done, though. I think there's, like, 4 more chapters after this. Musical aspirations. Hugo, overcome with emotion, started to cry. The feelings he had repressed to keep on living now overflowed. I would die for these hands. There was light shining in his heart. Lord. Chapter 11, Resolve. You should reconsider, Hugo, interjected Rufus. His eyes were cold, as if to scold Glenn. A procedure to cure it without losing your hands, eh? The surgical procedure you attempted on Katerina? You should know better than anyone what a failure that was. Hugo flinched at the anger in his voice. Without saying anything, Glenn produced the file. This is what I've researched, in the 10 years since I've become a back alley doctor. He said this and tossed the file to Rufus. Rufus was surprised at how heavy it was. There was an enormous amount of research about crystallization inside. Clinical records, medical cases, reports of procedures, and results. It was obvious some materials were legally obtained. Then on the final page, a new procedure was described, different from the one Rufus knew of. Being able to attempt it with Katerina back then, it's all thanks to her. Glenn said no more. It was clear he had continued fighting crystallization disease for a long time, even after deviating from lawful practice. After years of treating patients as a back alley doctor, he was able to perfect a new procedure. Because my beloved Glenn will surely succeed. Realizing her sister's words were right, Sherry suddenly teared up. By doing it this way, the probability of saving the patient's life will indeed be high, said Rufus after reading the file quickly. He could see the effectiveness of Glenn's technique. Even Hugo cheered up as he listened. Sorry, there was a motorcycle outside. Still, I can't hand my patient over to you. Oh, why? Sherry asked, bewildered. Rufus glared at Glenn, still silent. Already heard from Sherry that Katerina faced this dangerous surgery to give you more experience? But you, unable to bear her death, ran away from the hospital. Katerina had resolved to sacrifice her own life, but in truth, you had none. I can't entrust the surgery to you. Glenn closed his eyes and reflected. It hurt because it was true. Yes, it's as you say. As a doctor, I hadn't even the bare minimum of resolve. As a result, I ended up a back alley doctor. But you know what? Thanks to my experiences, I've also learned a few things. As he finished saying that, he moved his hand to his hip. He felt the cold hand shape of the concealed object, grasped it tightly, and pulled it out. Pointed right at the tip of Rufus's nose, Renford-made orbital gun reflected the light of the of the setting sun flowing into the room, and the room was instantly frozen. Damn. Are you threatening me? Looking at the gun in defiance. Rufus couldn't hide his trembling. Glenn grinned wryly, and put his finger on the trigger. In an instant, he reversed the grip, the muzzle spun around, the situation flipped. Since the patient bears a risk of dying, I as a doctor should also bear a suitable risk. If the surgery does not succeed, kill me with this. Glenn's words spoke true of his nature. Here was a unique resolve he, a doctor of the underworld, had built. The room stood in heavy silence before Rufus's answer. He calmly closed his eyes behind his rims, then grasped the grip of Glenn's gun. Very well, Glenn. Your resolve seems to be real. If that procedure saves Hugo's life, I'll bet on it too. Alright, 3 more. That's what I say. Hey, what's up, Saki? Oh shit, oh fuck, I made it. Yeah, welcome, Saki. Appreciate it. Let me see. I'm reading with the pressure right here. Well, I take a nap. Take a nap in class, I don't even. Sounds like High School Moon, though. Yeah, pretty much everyone. But we just got 3 left. Alright, Chapter 12, The Operation. Rufus summoned doctors involved in the procedure, now taking place in 2 days, to one of Amiria's conference rooms. He introduced Akira as Glenn's new, more efficient version of an existing technique. Doctors received him coldly at first. Glenn, a man running a back alley clinic downtown. Could his skills be trusted? Few of them knew of his past fame. Thanks to Rufus's keen recommendation, and Glenn's detailed rundown of the procedure, they withdrew their objections one by one. Until the day of the operation, Rufus and Glenn went over the procedure again and again, to ensure it would go as planned. Nurse Sherry continued to reassure Hugo, unlike when he was certain he would lose his hands. His eyes now seemed alive. Finally, the day of operation arrived. Hugo's parents, busy with work, hadn't come to visit until then, but on this day, they made time. I'll see you soon. These could have been his last words. For this reason, he smiled at his worried parents. The presence of 2 excellent doctors firmly reassured him of the odds. The doctors brought him to the operating room. They sterilized equipment and prepared necessary surgical instruments. Glenn, the operating surgeon, stood before the patient, now under the anesthesia. The other doctors, led by Rufus, took their positions. Glenn had tidied himself, now wearing light blue surgical attire. He tied his hair up, hiding its normally unkempt state while adding an air of elegance. Nurse Sherry, too, attended as an assistant to Glenn and Rufus. She exchanged a glance with Glenn, and he nodded. Well then, I'll start the procedure. Scalpel was handed over to Glenn, and it began. The incision lines were marked on the boy's bare chest. From a practiced hand, the scalpel moved over the marks, exposing the inside. As man evolves, so too did the human body refine itself. Anatomical parts reconfigured as one, like an elegant link of orbital gears. I don't know about that, Chief. However, bodies break down due to illnesses and injuries. It's the doctor's job to fight this and protect the elegance of life. Each time Glenn performed a surgery, he felt delighted to perform his duty. He was grateful to the goddess for giving him this talent. With his skillful scalpel movements, the procedure was progressing smoothly. Everyone observed Glenn's artful surgical diligence, Sherry wiping sweat off his face, Rufus handling surgical tools, other doctors supervising key elements such as equipment and anesthesia. At last, the boy's heart was exposed. It must have taken a long time, but everyone felt he reached a point in the blink of an eye. A sinister, dark growth clung to the surface of the otherwise healthy organ. This was a tumor associated with crystallization. It had taken the life of his lover, Katerina. A little more? Hang in there, Hugo. Sherry spoke to the sleeping boy. Darn it, I thought it was Glenn. At that moment, Glenn's hand stopped. Alright, 2 more. Don't say anything. Can't think of Rufus and Rufus Shinra. Same. I'm trying not to. After playing 7 Remake. Hey, what's up, Trio? Soul says, I'm trying to nap. Well, too bad. Lord. You're gonna nap for like 2 more chapters, fam. Otherwise, then you're gonna wake the fuck up. I'm gonna slam your desk. Lord. Hey, what's wrong? Rufus shouted. Dr. Glenn? Sherry stared at him with worry. Other doctors also didn't understand hesitation. The moment Glenn caught sight of the pounding heart, he remembered Katarina's surgery. 10 years ago, that surgery. Even then, it had seemed the operation had been successful. Heart surgery is always highly dangerous, but Glenn, gifted with his talent, has succeeded in removing the crystallization tumor. Sorry. Actually, I'm taking another drink. Man, could you imagine doing all this with, like, no water? Probably could, but it'd be awful. Oh, let me see what I'm missing, chat. Why slam hands on the table? You can yeet a piece of chalk with accuracy of a shinobi. Nah, I'm not skilled at that. It goes pretty well, just got done revisiting levels. Didn't get all the secrets in Doom Journal. Progress in the game. Guild free, noise. Chalk is dangerous stuff. You're not even wrong. It's good lord. It's a lethal weapon in the right hands, right? Let's see. Room crystallization tumor. People participating watched as the color returned to the heart, believing it to be a success. However, they had been naive. Tumor was tied to the surrounding tissue, and removing it weakened the heart. When Glenn was closing her chest, part of the heart tore open, causing a large hemorrhage, and she passed away. Yikes, so that's how she really died. Okay. That fear returned in force when presented with the tumor in front of him. When stiffened, his mind became pure white. He could not focus on the procedure. Glenn! The powerful yell of his former friend snapped him back to reality. Rufus had seized his, bosom and was shaking him. Don't think about anything else while operating. You must focus now on Hugo's surgery. This boy, he believes in you. Glenn was taken aback. He looked at the sleeping boy. All the implied thumps. Heartbeat sound effect. Or your mind. The heart pounded as if calling to Glenn. That's right. This isn't the time to be spacing out, Glenn thought. He took a short moment to compose himself, and once again faced Hugo. Seeing this, Rufus let go of him and signaled to continue the operation. Jerry sighed in relief. Rufus assumed the position opposite of Glenn. It was time to perform the new technique. Darn it, I pressed X. Sorry, y'all. Where is this? Right. Tumor had a secret. With the exception of the central part that produces the toxin, it was also completely harmless. In time, it would fuse with the heart and become indistinguishable from heart tissue. In other words, if the central part was removed, there was no need to remove the rest. That was why Katarina's surgery failed. Every time he realized his throughout his research, rush of regret ate at his own heart. However, Sherry's words had turned his regrets into gratitude. His new technique existed entirely because of Katarina's sacrifice. Glenn briefly reflected on all of this. A heart and lung machine was connected, and drugs were administered to temporarily halt Hugo's heart. Rufus had made special orders for this cutting-edge technology. With the heart stopped, Glenn adjusted everything to take a closer look. Removing only the central part would require very precise hand movements. One wrong move and the heart would be injured. But if successful, they could safely remove the section, avoiding a repeat of Katarina's complications. Katarina, please lend your strength to Glenn. Sherry prayed internally. Glenn's scalpel approached the dark tumor. Sherry, Rufus, and the other doctors watched the tip attentively, holding their breaths. Outside the room, Hugo's parents continued to pray to the goddess. Since the start of the operation, a considerable amount of time had passed, and their weariness was reaching its peak. Then the operating light turned off. Who appeared first was Glenn. Hugo's parents rushed towards his big frame in desperate hope. Glenn faced them and removed his mask, Behind it, his face was covered in a strong smile. Aw, shit. Man, could you imagine if, like, you failed but you still smiled to hide the pain? Oh god, what if? What up on this? It's like throwing a bullet. Or, no, stuck would be more accurate. Lord. Rather stone stick. Yeah, he taught me rocks have their own impact as weapons. Soul Wake Over on the last book. Really? Damn. Damn. Best part is, though, chat's on the left forever, so people will know. But alright, last one. And it's only 8 pages. We'll get through this quick. A month later, in a private room at Amiri General Hospital's children's ward, Hugo was playing his violin. Both his hands had regained their tender and warm skin color like that of the other children. None of the dubious green brilliance remained. However, the skills of the once crystallized fingertips were still dulled and unreliable. He tried to play at his usual level for his visiting parents, but only disappointing shrill sounds came out. Ain't that a mood? His parents with forced smiles encouraged him. Hugo did not care at all. A genius shouldn't forget his originality, said Hugo cheekily. Or rather, if it's Hugo. A genius shouldn't forget his originality, making his parents laugh. Could play once again. He couldn't help but be happy for that. He played strange sounds again. Strange sounds. And he and his parents laughed. A small concert reached Glenn, standing on the rooftop once more. He went to the hospital every so often to observe Hugo's post-operative recovery. Sorry. Then, after finishing his usual medical examination, he stood on the rooftop for a while, leaned on the fence, and gazed at the city streets. Behind him stood Rufus and Sherry. "Glenn, are you listening?" questioned Rufus nervously. He invited Glenn. "Don't you want to come work at the hospital?" This was a mighty request from the medical specialist that we were supported by his talents. They considered it regrettable for a man of his skills to live in obscurity as a back alley doctor. You invented this new surgical procedure for crystallization. You could make a name for yourself out there, as a respectable doctor. However, Glenn's answer was stubborn. Or was a stubborn no. There are many people that come to my clinic downtown. I don't intend to leave them at this point. As I'm the back alley doctor, you know. Glenn said this and grinned. I see. A pity, then. Rufus replied with a flickering smile. Sherry checked her watch. Ah, doctor, isn't it almost time for your rounds? He nodded and looked back to Glenn. Then continue as a back alley doctor. The path you chose wasn't wrong. It was just as Katerina said. With this, Rufus left. To his former friend's harsh encouragement, he muttered, You don't have to tell me that. Glenn and Sherry were alone on the rooftop. Silence continued. Violin sounds, which were still audible, emphasized it, unable to bear her staring at... unable to bear her staring at his back. Glenn began walking toward the exit. Sherry stopped him with a detached, Dr. Glenn, thank you so much for what you have done. I feel like I finally understand why my sister chose you. Glenn felt embarrassed after hearing such formal thanks from behind his back. You don't need to feel that way. Thanks to you, I was able to understand what happened with Katerina. Well, thank you for now. Sherry was surprised by the admirable attitude that Glenn displayed compared to before. I think about it, they said that you didn't take payment for the surgery, Doctor. This time payment came from the hospital, though there were laws that restricted its amount. So incredible sum of mirror to the average person. They say Glenn turned it down, telling them to spend it on Hugo's post-op expenses. I don't want to accept loose change, said Glenn, scratching his head. My bad. Well, if that brat becomes a pro, I'll have him send me free tickets to all his concerts. Hearing such a line from a notorious back alley doctor, Sherry smiled. I reminded her. Doctor, do you remember when I first visited you? I said it was a personal request, so I could even pay you. Personally. What? Glenn turned around flustered, and Sherry stood there with a mischievous smile. Glenn, embarrassed, turned and left the hospital. Sherry, alone on the rooftop, was cheerful. She leaned on the fence like Glenn had been doing. He's a wonderful person, Katerina, she felt, as if mixed with, with the violin sounds. Her sister could be heard laughing. And there we go. That's it. We're free. The evil has been defeated. It's kind of insane how, like, they put this stuff in the game and, like... I don't even know, like 5% of players would probably read that shit. Class is over. Damn. Damn, bro. And yeah, it's crazy. I hate reading. But you put that in a game and it's like, well, I'd read more if it was short stories like that, honestly. Half the time I just see like an actual like big thick ass book and I'm just like, I don't really want to do this, you know? But yeah. I could save here actually. So, here's what we're gonna do. Stream's gonna go down for like a minute. Just because I want to break this up between the actual main story progress and this, like, you know, little reading session. So, the stream will go down really quick, and we'll continue the main story, like, it'll immediately be back up, so give me a minute just to stop, you know, the stream for right now, as long as I don't miss anything in chat. Raise hand. Teacher, will you hand the presentation via email? I think I missed a few notes. No, I'm sorry, Saki. You were tardy, so tardy's a tardy. We can't really. Maybe I'll give you a like a special like pop quiz for extra credit, but maybe. I don't know. I have to see if I'm not lazy. God, now I'm just imagining Sergey as like the fucking teacher, and he's like, no. Gotta take your L. I ain't doing shit. Let me see. I was late because of class. To class because time travel. God. I'm like, who would even buy that excuse? Quiz be in the form of free-form drawing? Absolutely not. No drawing. You'll have to read the book on your own time and, you know, answer the questions as they appear. But you have to read the entire book and catch up on what you miss. I'm sorry, but that's what you gotta do. Otherwise, you might be in risk of failing, Saki. I can't believe this, but I expected better from you. Oh, Lord. Let me see. Schools for nerds. Good Lord, runs out the door. Schools for nerds, even though I showed up and now I'm just about to leave when it's all completely over. Listen, you should have ditched in the middle of class. Should have ditched in the middle, fam. Failed time, Saki. I got you, Lord. Transferred here for a different school, for a different country. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Saki, but you should have taken that into account. I can't make excuses or special exceptions for you. You gotta follow the rules just like everyone else. Anyway, for real, I'm gonna stop rambling. We're gonna stop the session, and come back, really quick, like I said, about 2 minutes. Stream's just gonna go, stop the stream and then come back, so, yeah, give me a sec.